I'm going to start that section over. Public delegations is the time when members of the public are invited to speak to the commission about certain matters, issues, or concerns related to approved wetland permits, and in-house proposals or general topics of discussion are open to comment. Agenda items, referrals, applications subject to a decision by the commission, public hearing, or litigation may not be discussed. The members of the commission will not directly answer questions or make comments during delegations. Is anyone here that would like to speak during this period? No? Okay. So then next would be our public hearing. This is for 55 Corey Lane, Niantic, Connecticut. Tax assessor's map number 10.2, lot number 6. Will Walter, PE applicant, Wayne P. Cooper, owner, application for the construction of a single-family dwelling and associated appurtenances.
Before you begin, Madam Chair, just like to note the legal ad was published in the June 27th and the July 3rd edition of the Day paper, and it read as follows. East Lyme Inland Wetland Agency will hold a public hearing on July 7th, 2026 at 7 p.m. at the East Lyme Town Hall, 108 Pennsylvania Avenue, Niantic, Connecticut, to consider the following. 55 Corey Lane, Niantic, Connecticut, tax assessor's map number 10.2, lot number 6. Will Walter, P.E., applicant, Wayne P. Cooper, owner, application for the construction of a single-family dwelling and associated appurtenances. Application was available for review at the East Lyme Land Use Office.
Okay, thank you. Hi, if you could just state your name too and...
Sure. Good evening, Mr. Goschel, members of the commission. For the record, Will Walter, professional engineer with Alfred Benish and Company, representing the owner of the property, Wayne Cooper, as well as the builder, Sylvan Homes. So for orientation, Corey Lane is on the north, running east and west on the north. To the east and the south are similar residential lots. It's about a half-acre lot. And to the south is a very large wooded town-owned property. We're coming before you with basically a plot plan, which consists of a single-family house, as you can see, in a driveway coming off of Corey Lane. So we were not aware there was wetlands on this property. The owner was not aware of that. The GIS does not show any wetlands on this property. We had a pre-app meeting with Mr. Goschel, who's been extremely helpful, and he said that he thought there may be, and directed us to get our wetland scientist out there to confirm that, which we promptly did. And as you can see, there's actually wetlands. Almost the entire property is wetlands, which again was news to us. So what we're doing here is we're coming back with our driveway. We've got a little patio and a little walkway at the front door that goes around to the driveway. We're placing our house set back from Corey Lane. We're disturbing about 0.4 acres of wetlands, and we're bringing in about, the application said, I believe, about 1,300 or 1,400 yards of fill. We probably are going to end up bringing more than that because we've been working closely with the health department on the septic design, and we need to lift up the grade a little bit, the proposed grade, to get extra separating distance from the bottom of that system to the seasonal high groundwater, which is about 18 inches below the existing grade. So the application says about 1,300 or 1,400 yards. We're probably going to have another 400 or 500 yards on top of that. But I had to let the commission know, obviously, this is what you're approving tonight. So there is public water in Corey Lane. As I mentioned, there is septic. We're looking at, as I said, raising the house up and gravitying back to the septic. We had our original septic system 2 rows close to the right-of-way. Based upon the correspondence and the back and forth we have with the health department, we're going to need to move some of that septic a little bit closer to the building. We believe that we can make it work per the technical standards, which is what the health department uses, and obviously we're asking for an approval conditioned upon obviously health department approval. We don't have that yet. We're actually waiting to get approval here, and we've got a few hours to go back and revise some things, and if we get approval tonight, we'll be making our application or our revision back to the health department probably later this week or early next week. As far as drainage, everything slopes from Corey Lane south down to the large wooded area. We're going to continue with that. Everything in Corey Lane, in the drainage back here, eventually makes its way down, we believe. And there's one other thing that I need to bring to your attention, that I believe, and Mr. Goschel could correct me if I'm wrong, I believe there's a pending violation right now because of tree clearing that the builder did in a wetlands. He wasn't aware that there was wetlands when he cleared the trees, and he wasn't aware that he was violating the regs. So obviously we want to make that right. As soon as it came to our attention, we're obviously trying to make this right by coming and getting a wetlands permit for all the clearing that's already been done, in addition to the new construction that's going to go on in the wetlands. So with that, I'd be more than happy to take any questions at this time.
Do you have any planting plan proposals, especially like in the rear of the property, to replace some of the trees that were taken down?
So we're not planting anything back there because we're clearing, all the green is where we're clearing. And basically, we don't have to clear all the way back here, but we're clearing back there so they can have at least a little bit of a backyard back there. So I'm sure that, well, I'm not sure, but perhaps we could plant a tree or two back there, but we wouldn't be able to get it too close. You don't want to plant a tree that's going to overhang your house, obviously. But that's the reason we're probably going 40 feet. We're clearing 40 feet behind the house, so we have a backyard they can enjoy of about 40 feet.
And is that outline the entire property, or is there more property outside of what's outlined there?
No, the outline is the limit of clearing. We're going basically up to the sides, and the property line is about 30 feet
Okay.
Back here. And obviously, you can see just from the aerial, there's all the woods back here, and the woods extend way back there. There's no neighbors back there that are going to be impacted by cutting these trees, because it's a large town property with wetlands that will never get developed, most likely.
So this is the only open lot on that side of the road in Corey Lane.
Correct.
Is your design or proposed design for the house consistent with the neighbors' houses, or inconsistent in some way? Like are you proposing a basement, or putting it up on posts, or any of that kind of stuff?
Yep. So 2 questions. Answer the first question. It is consistent with the neighbors. You can see the neighboring house right here is about the same size as this. This is an 1,800 square foot house, so we're not putting a mansion in. We are putting a basement in, and we're lifting this up significantly back here so that the basement is not going to be below the level of seasonal high groundwater. One of the things that is required by the technical standards in the health department with the septic design is you can't have a footing drain, I believe it's within 25 feet, of a leaching field. And so we know we have one row up here, one row is coming back here. So, if we were sitting down below groundwater, we would want some kind of a footing drain that we'd gravity out to here, or there'd be a pump, an interior pump. But we're lifting this up such that basement level will not be below the seasonal high ground. The groundwater fluctuates, as you know. Mm-hmm. During the spring, it's up a little higher. During the fall, it's down a little bit lower. When we're doing test pits out here, we can look at the pits and we can see what's called modeling, and we can determine where that high level is. And so we know where that is. We've lifted everything up so that the basement will not be below that level.
So the other houses in that development on that side of the street have basements as well?
I'm not aware if they do or don't, to be honest with you.
Now, where you elevate?
I don't know for certain. I do know the neighborhood got a high groundwater in that area. There's a lot of wetlands. I think a lot of the homes on that side of the street were previously filled to be constructed, more likely at the time of subdivision in the 60s when this thing was originally approved. If I zoom out a little bit, you'll see this is a town-owned parcel behind it. The bulk of this is wet. If I zoom in a little bit, you'll see the vegetation there, and you can see there's what looks like a little bit of a water course in here. It could be some standing water. Our subject lot is right here. So this little bit of whatever might be standing water in this area here where my cursor is, looks like it kind of flows into the back of this yard, but it then dissipates. I guess my only question here is the location of this house as it's set further back on the lot as compared to the other houses on the street which are forward. I don't know if that's because of the septic system going in the front where maybe these other houses might have them in the back.
No, that's the reason, is because the septic system's in the front. I mean, we wouldn't prefer to bring it that far back, but because of needing 2 rows and needing that separating distance, there's not only do you need a separating distance from your leaching field to a footing drain, you also need a separating distance to a occupied building. So that's really what's driving this, yeah.
It doesn't look like there's really any alternatives.
It's not the easiest lot to put a house and a septic system on, that's for sure.
And it's 3 bedrooms?
No,
2?
it's more. I believe it's 3. I don't remember if it's 3 or 4. Whatever it is, we've designed the septic system to accommodate that. I believe it's 3. I just don't know off the top of my head.
Plan says 3.
Okay, there you go. 3 bedroom.
Now, while you appropriately raise the property level to accommodate the house, basement, so forth, tell me about that raise, that height compared to the neighbor's property on either side. Are we in conjunction with their height? Is there a difference in height?
So that's a great question. So it will slope up from the neighbor's driveway, and so some of the water is going to shed off to the side, and we're going to put swale so it comes down and drains back to the wetlands. We're not going to be pushing it onto the neighbor's property.
So Mr. Vilcek, if you just look, like, you'll see the map here, these contours are 1-foot contours. You'll see the highest elevation here on the neighboring lot is 77, dropping all the way down to 75 on the, maybe 75, maybe even 74, approximately where this house would go.
Yep.
That's kind of gives you an idea. And then if you come back to the site plan, you'll see they bring the grade up to 77, and the first floor elevation is at 78.
Okay.
Yeah, and actually, Gary, now that you're showing that, there's humps on both those neighboring properties, and I'm sure it's the same reason
type
they
of
lifted it up. Yeah.
Most likely,
Yeah. There's no wetlands regulations, but they realize we don't want to put a basement in groundwater.
Well, they're behind a floodplain.
We're out of the floodplain.
No, I said behind, like.
Oh, yeah.
And is the driveway going to be pavement?
Yes.
Does anyone else have any questions on
No, I would just like to see, I agree with you as far as a planting plan, because so much was removed. Even a rain garden.
So, Gary, is there a requirement for 2 street trees? I don't remember. What is the town requirement for a single-family lot for plantings?
Under zoning, I don't believe there is any specific planting requirement for a single-family residence. I think here would be just as it relates to the wetlands, and do they want to replace the vegetation? Usually we try to go for a 1-to-1 replacement. Obviously, that's not going to be realistic here because the bulk of this is wet. So if you can get closer to, say, 2-to-1, that would be great. If you can't, you can't. If you can get a rain garden in there to handle the stormwater runoff from the roof, great, although that is considered relatively clean. Some would argue atmospheric deposition is a problem. That can remain to be seen. So we'd like to see rain gardens used to catch some of the sheet flow from the driveway. Here, I think this is graded, so it's going to dump out into the road. So the catch basin, the existing drainage system in the road will pick that up. As far as the roof goes, I don't know, like the gutters where the downspouts might discharge to. Certainly, because the lot is narrow. Like you were saying, you would put that outlet probably somewhere toward the back, along with your footing drain. I would think that would go along with your gutter drains as well.
Yeah, so we can commit to putting a rain garden back on one of the corners, and we'll pick up the roof flow, and we'll put that rain garden down in the back. We can absolutely do that.
In lieu of a rain, or similar to a rain garden, you could use even the same plantings. You might want to consider just a buffer strip along the entire back, because the wetland's going to continue, right, at that edge of clearing. So if you look where my cursor is on the map on the screen, right? Here's the edge of vegetation. So they're gonna, all this will be tree. So if you put in a buffer strip along there, that might, right, you can't police what they put on the ground. You can't fertilize or something such, but if you created a planted buffer strip, that might be more aesthetically pleasing. Could function the same way as a rain garden to collect that stormwater and provide that,
It gives them the yard space in the back too.
and maybe get some yard space,
Yeah.
and some ornamental
Yeah.
plantings.
No, we can absolutely do that. So you're suggesting just smaller shrubs and ornamental stuff
so-
like that?
Yeah, the Yukon rain garden plantings, like those would work. I would just, instead of making it your typical round rain garden, make it a longer, like a little spreader.
Got it.
It creates that buffer between the lawn and the wetland.
Yep, we can do that.
So Gary, is it a natural thing to have the water go into the town drainage system? There's no way that you can
Well, they
put
could
it
sheet,
someplace else?
well, if they could drain it toward a rain garden or sheet flow it toward somewhere else, I don't know if it's possible. Here, I believe this is all graded so that the stormwater that hits the driveway will end up going into this catch basin on the street. You know, you're set at 78, it's a 4-foot straight drop back down toward the street. So because of the house elevation, it's just naturally gonna flow that way. Everything that hits the front of this lot is gonna flow forward unless they catch it and direct it to the back. So I would think the roof runoff from the front gutters would drain down toward the driveway or across the front, sheet flow across the front of the lot, where the back half of this house, again, I don't have the elevations, but I would presume it would be a gable roof, like a typical colonial facing the street, so that the back half that's sloping toward the rear of the property would again drain in that direction. I think that's-
Yeah, we can do that. Yep. So you're suggesting just a linear, it's like along the back width? Just
Correct.
something where it's depressed and there's some nice plantings and it captures the sheet flow as well as the house flow?
Correct.
Yeah, we can do that.
I'm
Yep.
just thinking that would be a large enough area probably to accommodate that entire volume.
Yep.
Otherwise, you are directing the roof runoff into a smaller rain garden type, just if that's the only volume you're worried about. But I would think, again, my concern is you can't police the fertilizer. So I just know a vegetative buffer strip, particularly with wood chips to start until it vegetates in, is a good way to mitigate nitrogen loading. That's just my recommendation.
Do we know what, like, 100-year, 500-year floodplain that we're in this particular area?
We know we're out, we know we're not in it.
Okay,
Yep.
Doesn't matter. They're just outside.
yeah, okay.
So we're not,
There's zone X, which is outside, and if I zoom out, you'll see the other layers pop on here eventually, or maybe not, because we're to go so far out. You can see over here is like zone AE, so there's nothing.
Right, okay. Thank you.
So was this property, because this is a public hearing, was there a sign in front of the property?
I don't recall. I don't recall if we were asked to do one or we needed to do one.
There is a requirement in the regulations for one.
Yeah, I mentioned it last month.
And she mentioned it, yeah, at the meeting last month, so the builder who was here, he didn't know, he wasn't aware of it. I don't know if you passed the message
Okay,
on.
I don't, he couldn't be here tonight. I don't know if he said that or not.
So I will have to double check with him and then drive by to verify that there was a sign, because if not, we'd have to redo the public hearing for this and redo, it would be a whole redo.
Okay.
In which case, if that's the case, my suggestion would be then you withdraw the application, reapply, and request that the commission waive the fee,
Okay.
rather than incurring an entire new fee. I would suspect that the commission might waive the application fee and charge just the public hearing fee, meaning the legal ad, it costs us, the town, money to run, roughly $250, about an inch worth, but that's the rate. So they may decide to charge that amount, but
Would you want me to resubmit all the documents or no?
technically we should, it'd be a new application form, updated with the current date, and then we should at least have one full set of revised or updated plans, let's just say, the same plan. And then I could probably work with the commission with the copy that we have.
Sure,
1,000.
sure.
How long, so does the sign have to be up on the property? So,
Might ask if there's anyone here to speak to this as a neighbor.
Right.
Yeah, I'm going to.
Yeah.
That was like 30 days.
Posting a sign at least 15 days prior to any public hearing. Applicant shall post a sign on the premises indicating that such action is proposed. Sign shall be durable material, 4x4 in size, shall be firmly set at least 3 feet above the ground surface and located so as to be clearly visible and legible from the most heavily used adjacent town road or 2-lane state highway. Sign shall contain the following in black block lettering, not less than 3 inches in height for a road sign and 2 inches in height for a window sign on a white background. It says the public notice, this property proposed for regulated activities. For further information, contact Department of Planning and Inland Wetlands and Watercourses, East Lyme Town Hall, 108 Pennsylvania Avenue, Niantic, Connecticut, and to be removed within 10 days of completion of the hearing.
Is it possible to leave the hearing open and have them post it with the date of the next meeting?
You can,
Would that be-
I'm only going to, I would just caution the applicant would be moving forward at their own risk. That if there
Right.
was an appeal, that would be a deficiency. I can
Right.
just tell you that we would lose on an appeal, right from the get-go.
We don't want to take that chance.
So
Okay.
rather
I
than.
mean, I have to confirm, I don't even know if he posted the sign or not, but, so I guess
Yeah, I
we don't know.
haven't-
Is it even possible to make a decision tonight?
So yeah, my recommendation, and in addition, I know you're still working on the septic details, and certainly this commission can approve an application without having that in place. I certainly would think, though, that they would want to know that the health department is comfortable approving a system and saying that it's suitable. I think the agency is well aware that it's an existing lot of record and that we're required to permit something. Again, what does that look like? We're working through that. I did get correspondence from Danielle Holmes today. She just said she's waiting to hear back from the engineer. I said, well, I think he was on vacation and came back. It looks like back in June, she spoke to the engineer and had a couple of items regarding the MLSS calculation, the pitch on the sewer line, depths of the perk holes. So she had a number of questions. So obviously they're working through that. So I think, if you left it open, that would give them time to address the septic, and hopefully maybe that could get addressed before the next meeting. In addition, we can verify the sign. If in fact the sign is out, then we don't need to do anything over, and we can just continue forward.
Yep.
So I would just recommend that we continue the public hearing, assuming no other discussion tonight, but it is a public hearing, so the public is here this
Yeah,
evening. If they want to
wondering if-
speak on it, we can open it up to them if there's no more questions for the engineer.
So Gary, when's the next meeting?
This next meeting is August 4th.
And we need to make our application.
Now, for us to hold a public hearing and renotice it, if we have to renotice it, I need 2 weeks to notice it. So I would need that application at least by like the 20th, so I can get a notice to the paper
Yeah.
by the 24th. They need 2 days' notice for publication. So if I can send it on Wednesday, the 22nd, they can publish it on the 24th, and the 31st. We could hold a public hearing on it.
And when would the sign need to be posted?
15 days prior, so 1, 2, 3.
Signed 15 day, okay.
I have to be posted on the 20th, basically the day
Yeah,
So
okay.
if you could get it all in, and by the 20th, and the sign posted,
Well, I mean, I really shouldn't, I don't know if I'm going to get probably not going to get a health approval, but perhaps the approval will come by the 4th, and if it's not, we'll just request that it be conditional. But we'll certainly get our revisions back to them later this week, early next week. And if, do everything on the 20th. So if I understand correctly, if we leave it open right now, and he didn't post the sign, we could be in violation. I don't take any chances.
So if you didn't post a sign, we left it open, my recommendation then, and if you don't want to risk going forward in an appeal by, say, a neighbor, then my recommendation is to withdraw the application and resubmit to hold a new public hearing on the 4th.
Okay, and we could resubmit like next week or whatever. I mean, I'm sorry, we could withdraw like next week.
By the 20th.
Yeah, withdraw and reapply by the 20th. Okay,
Right.
okay.
We don't have to, then great. Yeah, right.
All right, well, that gives us the option. We can find out, I can find out tomorrow if he posts it, and I can let you know as soon as I find out.
I meant to drive by to double check, and I just didn't get there, so.
Yeah, that was fine. So, okay.
Gary, I just have one more question.
Sure.
So is it 15 calendar days before that the sign has to be up, or the business days, just so that,
Calendar days,
Calendar days,
including
okay.
weekends and holidays. Yep.
thank you.
Does anyone have any other questions for Mr. Walter? Sorry? No? All right, thank you. So this is, since it is public hearing, is anyone here from the public to speak to this application? No? Okay. All right.
Thank you very much.
We don't need to make a motion to leave it open or anything, right? Just,
No, you don't need to, you can just
okay.
consensus, it's the table to the next regular scheduled meeting? Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
All right, so next would be the acceptance of our regular meeting minutes of June 2nd, 2026. Do I hear a motion to accept those minutes?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Everyone? All right. Moving on to our ex officio report, Anne?
Good evening, Ann Chicello, ex officio from the Board of Selectmen. So, recently, First Selectman negotiated along with the attorney, with the police, to get the contract in order, and the Board of Selectmen, we ratified it the other night. So, the police, the fire contract, and the dispatcher contract are all in place for the next few years now. So that's been going forward for a few months now, all those negotiations. Secondly, July 18th is East Lyme Day, so everybody's looking forward to that. Also, at the old police station on Main Street, the town has a grant to do a brownfield assessment. So phase 1 was already done, and so now phase 2 includes taking samples inside the building. And what they're doing inside the building is looking for any toxins such as lead, asbestos, or mold, that kind of thing, inside the building. They will not be doing anything outside the building until after East Lyme Day. Another issue also that has come to light is there might be a problem, I guess, because the railroad tracks go across there, and so they don't know if there's issues with, say, coal discharge or something else, I guess, from years ago. Yeah, it was new to me, too. At this point, Dominion still owns the building, and East Lyme leases it. And for $1 a year. So at this point, they're trying to determine what's really there, if there's any toxins, and then to try to figure out what to do next. Also, there may be, I guess, a table set up for East Lyme Day to have people who are walking by say, take a survey and say, hey, what do you think should be done? To get the opinions of the town people. So that's all I have tonight, and I don't know if anybody has it. Oh, the buses. Okay. So how this works is everything has to be by electric by 2030, right? The buses.
That's new to me, okay.
Yeah, no, it's a big issue.
Wait, electric
Buses have to go electric by 2030?
Yes. However, what we're thinking is, it's each town, and you have Eversource who has to roll this out. So it may not occur by 2030.
I
So-
would have asked Dominion to roll it out versus.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I'm just
Just saying.
understood.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
Okay.
So right now, I know that the town, the school, Public Works, they're all getting together to look at properties.
Does that include our senior bus? Like the senior transportation, the small, short, the one we use, the municipal?
I'm
We should probably
not,
find out.
I'm not
Just
sure.
in case. Yeah, the do we need to go to electric? Because then that would be, put that in the capital budget.
So,
We got two, right?
So that's, yeah, it's, it's kind of these mandates that are coming down and that, the towns are really forced to fund, and
well, that's what I was
do.
gonna ask, who's funding the
Yeah.
property and the electric hookups and,
I
Yeah,
suspect there'll
that's-
be grant opportunities.
Probably, but, every town is gonna be looking for this. There's 169 towns in Connecticut.
right?
So, this may be something that when it actually comes to actually doing the work, that they're gonna realize that this is too much and that they'll, push it out or, figure out something else. But I don't know.
But they're currently now looking at different property options. which
Oh,
is
yeah, the
something-
town is, yeah. What I'm
okay.
saying is they've been meeting and reviewing it. Because I told you they were going to be starting
Right,
meetings
yeah.
to review it, and they
Yeah.
have. I kind of asked specifically because I knew that you were going to be asking me about it.
I cringe every time I drive
I
by.
have details of it now.
No, I checked.
But we've looked at several different locations, so we're working on. whether to
Yeah,
make them
and
fly.
nothing's definitive yet, so that's, yeah.
And of course, there's a budget that has to be, because we'd have to construct probably parking areas unless it was existing.
Yeah, there's a lot more to it than,
Where was the bus garage before its current temporary location?
It's in Roxbury, was it?
Was
I
it?
don't
School buses?
know. I
Yeah.
really
I
don't
think,
know.
I think you might be right. I think it might have been over by like the salt shed.
I was gonna say, they were thinking about putting it back there, I thought, at one point, but then I didn't know, there was some issue that.
Well, there's the brook right there as well, across the street. At least you have the street, that'd be between where.
I don't
current
know if there's
location-
enough space there now, is there?
They back up into the wetlands.
I think there was some issue that, I think there wasn't enough
There's a
space.
space issue there too,
Yeah, it's always a space, and, the buses take up
Yeah.
a lot of space, and then you also have, besides the buses,
The
is the
cars.
exactly, the cars.
And and with the slight change in use, as I say, of the space, right? The only water and sewer are using the building in the rear of that parcel. I believe the old Public Works building is Karen Chair
Yeah.
right now.
Yes.
And then we have the salt shed is DPW storage, basically. So,
Yeah.
I don't know that there's as many cars as there used to be, but there's still vehicles. I think the buses fuel there, is that correct, or do they go up to the other?
I don't know.
They can fuel probably in both spots, either
Yeah.
there or the new garage, but.
Because a lot of, another big issue that I think that town is dealing with is, besides the buses, is also storage for the different vehicles, because the winter and snows and everything really, age the vehicles. So it's kind of like to try to get them underneath something and
Right.
protected. So, yeah, it's kind of like, a dual problem that they're trying to solve, yeah.
That's good, at least they're working it.
Yeah, well, I thought it was good, to get all the different,
Yeah.
people, stakeholders in the same room talking about it. That was really what I was most concerned about doing, so.
Yeah, we've had some ongoing conversations, and we've got zoning involved as well, so
Oh, good.
it's good. Yeah, we're making some progress, albeit slow. but
Yeah,
progress.
something,
Yeah.
that's good.
So,
Okay.
so that's all I have tonight. Does anybody have any questions? No? Okay, great, thank you.
Thanks. So we have no new business today. Next is our pending application, which is the 55 Quarry Lane, Niantic, Connecticut Tax Assessor's Map 10.2 Lot 6, which we've tabled for discussion for next meeting. So under old business, we have 78 Flanders Road, East Lyme, Connecticut, tax assessors map 21.3, lot 150. Siddhartha Kalita, applicant owner, request to release the planting performance bond in the amount of $5,000.
So the last meeting, which I discussed this with you, I indicated I had some questions and questioned the vegetation. Mr. Kalita had asked me to attend a site visit with him. He is here tonight to speak on this. So I've got some photos of the vegetation that I took on June 22nd, in which I met with Mr. Kalita on site. And in fact, he didn't, and I also included the planting plan that was approved as part of his application. And the total plantings are installed. So I believe there was total, was it 8? Total of 8 plantings?
So there were, in the plan, there were 12 plantings.
12.
You need to go to the.
Oh,
Sure.
Just give your name
Should
and
I?
address.
Yes.
Okay.
Here, just want to give your name and address.
Yeah, sure. Good evening, Commission members. I'm Siddhartha Kalita. My address is 78 Flanders Road, Niantic. Exactly about a year ago, we met here when this commission approved my building plan subject to a plantation plan near the water because of a penalty that happened out of my ignorance. So that plantation plan consisted of 12 trees. That were 4 maple trees, 6 blueberry plants, and 2 hydrangeas. And I was supposed to plant those. So we planted those around at the same time as around 7 or 8 of July. So we planted more than what was in the plan. So instead of 2 hydrangeas, we planted 5 hydrangeas. So we knew that we had to hit the 80% survival ratio, so we did that. So that work was done in July. And then when the building was completed, we did an as-is report from the surveyor that basically showed the plantation that survived from those lot of trees. And in the as-is plan, we showed 5 hydrangeas, more than the plan 2. During the visit that Mr. Gosel did, he identified those 5, but then out of those 5, there was one which was not in a very good shape. So if you look into the survival ratio, that's actually about 117% compared to the approved plan. But if you compare that with my own plan, that ratio comes to be about 90%. So given that we have met the requirements set up by the commission, I would request to release the plantation bond back to the payer. That's all. If you have any questions.
Remind me, Gary, this was the one that you, was this the one that had the trees removed that was in the corner lot of the property?
Yes.
Yes.
It was, okay.
I just had the site plan up.
And the cordwood is still piled there.
Yeah.
Big tree.
Those 3 trees were dying. I think we talked about that. The neighbor had complained, and we, out of goodwill, we cut those off without knowing that they were not supposed to be removed. So we agreed to that ignorance at the time of work.
So there's a.
No.
So that was the original approved plan, and then the planting plan was on a separate sheet. I don't have that in the PDF that I can actually access without getting to the network. I'm not connected to the network, but I did include that in your packet. So that was the planting plan that's in that
Oh, yeah.
memo.
It might also be in the meeting minutes from the July 8th. Oh, here
Yeah,
it is.
they have it. So this is just so you have it. You can have this copy.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah, I can now. Thank you.
So Gary, does it meet the original planting plan? What's there currently?
Yeah, what he's installed matches what he proposed, with maybe the exception of one plant that looked like it was actually marginal. I think if he waters it throughout the summer, it may actually come back. It's kind of small, and I don't know if you can make it out. And there's one picture that does have it. It's kind of in the distance by the trailer. Okay. Far hydrangea. It was a hydrangea. It's not
Yeah,
ornamental.
Yeah.
But there was only 2 on the plantation plan, and you planted 5.
Yep.
So we need a motion? Or are we ready?
If you're in agreement to release the performance bond, then yes, you would need a motion to release the bond. I believe the amount was $5,000. There was some discussion from Mr. Carl Morado, who said there was an E&S bond, but I'm only familiar with the one $5,000 bond.
I would ignore that.
Yeah, okay.
That's why I said there is no point debating in a
Yeah,
common
he was
forum.
it sounded like he only posted one check. So we only have the one bond.
Yeah, okay.
So yeah, we would need a motion. Commission was favorable.
And this was the property that was also sold, right?
It's in the market, and it was closed today.
And it is expressed to the new owners that those trees would have to stay?
I left them a note, a letter, saying that this is as per the plantation plan that we had, and then please do not remove any of those vegetation without talking to the town wetland commission. So I listed that down in an email, and the site plan that you approved was also submitted as a part of the overall package. So my letter was in addition to what was already provided by the attorney and the realtor and everyone else. I just wanted to make sure that he understands from me.
So the current landowner who closed today, they're familiar that
Yes.
there are wetland regulations. The lot is subject to.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Good to know.
Yeah. All right, any other questions or discussion? No. So your motion, I think he's met the requirements of the planting plan, and
So I
you went
move,
out there.
I move that the committee release the planning performance bond in the amount of $5,000.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
All those in favor? Okay, great. You all set?
Thank you, commission members, and thanks, Mr. Gosel, for navigating,
Sure.
help me navigating the process.
I will get you a letter of the decision and work with finance, and we'll release it.
Sure, yeah. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
So next will be the chairman's report. I don't have anything today. So then we have the inland wetlands agent report. Gary?
So, the moment you all been waiting for. So in your packets, as you can recall at the last meeting, I was going to issue a cease and desist order to Nova Construction for the clearing within 300 feet of a water course. As a result of that meeting, Mr. Rich Lemieux saw the video, met with me, and I spoke with his attorney as well regarding the process in which we were going to proceed. And they corrected me, per se, that being that I was alleging that they were in violation, when in fact they said I had approved the clearing. And I said, how so? Because the plans you show do not depict clearing within the conservation easement. And they pointed to a note on the plan, which you all have copies of those plans in your packet. And I apologize for this 8.5 by 11, but under design and construction notes, note number 2 reads, all brush clearing in the conservation easement CE area shall conform to section 7E of the conservation easement documentation. So after discussing briefly with the town attorney, and while the plan doesn't show or provide, as I said, a call out to indicate the clearing that was proposed, the above note on the plan indicates brush clearing was in fact proposed, and that was their position. And as part of the site development, Mr. Lemieux also argued that he had verbally told me on site when we had met several times. So while I necessarily don't agree that it was something I was actually intended to approve, I inadvertently approved it as a result. So I don't know that I actually have recourse, because I believe Mr. Lemieux had reasonable expectation to follow the permit. So I'm going to talk with Mr. Attorney Bleasdale and see if there's any other recourse we may have here, aside from regulating and watching this thing very closely. I have talked to Art Carlson, and he's agreed to meet with Mr. Lemieux, as he's certainly concerned about the 1-foot strip of land that they own, as well as the easement that they're responsible for enforcing the conservation thereof. So I'm working on coordinating that meeting where the contractor and the land trust can meet. Although I do think that's the land trust's responsibility, I will do my part to help facilitate that as a result of, I guess, the lack of my review, I don't know, or thereof. My apologies for missing the note. It was not my intention to approve something like that. I would never wanted to do that if I could avoid it.
Where's the property exactly?
So it's at the end of Heritage Road.
Okay, yeah.
It was the Lake Point subdivision. It used to be a portion of the Hathaway piece, which was carved off and left.
What is section 7.e of the conservation easement documentation?
So, let's see if I can get to that. That was the conservation easement itself. That was.
It speaks to brush clearing in the conservation easement?
Yeah, I think if you recall, Mr. Danila had provided you a copy with his comments at the last meeting. Looking for the conservation easement, just a second. So the conservation easement, which is filed in volume 1129, page 57, 7E reads, 7, there shall be no construction, improvement, or upgrading of roads, driveways. I believe that it says pairing areas. I believe it's parking. It should be parking areas. Cart paths or footpaths, except as necessary to maintain existing footpaths in the current condition, are specifically permitted below. The provisions of the preceding restrictions notwithstanding the following uses and activities by grantors and their heirs, successors, and assigns, and any work or activity otherwise prohibited by the preceding restrictions which is reasonably necessary or appropriate in connection with such uses or activities, otherwise not be prohibited by this conservation easement or considered inconsistent with the intent of this grant and of this, I guess this is of this grant, I think that should be grant, and are specifically permitted. A, the removal of dead, diseased, or damaged trees or other vegetation when such removal is necessary for reasons of safety, to control the spread of disease, or to control obnoxious plant growth such as catbrier, poison ivy, wild grape, oriental bittersweet, or other invasive species, and when such activities are conducted in a manner which will otherwise not be harmful to the remaining plant life, and B, activities associated with an approved inland wetlands permit such as, but not limited to, wetland mitigation or enhancement, stormwater management, or the stormwater discharges, the use of the area for drainage or drainage structures, the placement of a reserve leaching areas for on-site septic systems, provided that to the extent such area is required to be put into service, an alternative area of like amount will be required to be dedicated to the East Lyme Land Trust or their successors, subject to the conservation easement protections herein. In E, hand cutting and removal of brush, mountain laurel, and similar vegetation in trees with 6 inches or less caliper, provided no stump removal shall occur. That was E. And F, the construction and use of a pathway to the Batagansett Lake shoreline, provided the pathway shall not exceed 10 feet in width. The pathway shall be covered in pervious pavers or washed stone. The proposed pathway location shall be examined by an environmental consultant who will certify in writing that no protected species will be impacted by the pathway's construction and use. The proposed pathway will require a permit from the town of East Lyme Inland Wetland Agency or its agent. So that was A through F.
Sorry, can you read the hand cutting 6 inches or less one again?
Yep, so E just says hand cutting and removal of brush, mountain laurel, and similar vegetation in trees with 6-inch or less caliper, provided no stump removal shall occur. Well, I say he definitely didn't hand cut. He used a machine, that's for sure. So I guess if there was a violation, maybe you could get him on that.
And
Yeah.
was there
I
other,
mean, I can pursue it. I don't know.
What about the
To
tax?
to what value though?
That's my question. Now, we did something similar. I recall Mr. Barbero, if you remember, the Barbero property on the corner of Atlantic and
Crescent Beach?
Crescent Beach there. He conducted, he removed Phragmites in violation of the permit, meaning he had permission to remove them. Just how he did it, he used a machine instead of cutting them by hand, which is what we permitted. We did fine him, and the fine was reduced, and he did pay the $1,000 fine as a result. So this could be a similar situation if you were to find that he was in violation because he didn't hand cut, because it was the note was on the plan, but your conservation easement says hand cutting. At the same time, in the previous paragraph, it says the removal of dead or diseased or damaged trees. It doesn't say how. So I guess it leaves a little to be desired in terms of clarity. So I can remove dead and diseased trees with machine. Why couldn't I remove brush with the machine?
Was brush the same thing as dead and diseased trees?
No.
Typically, no. They're smaller. They're shrubs.
So that's the distinction, no?
Well, removal of dead, diseased, or damaged trees or other vegetation, when such removal is necessary for reasons of safety, to control spread of disease. Now, obviously, none of that was made known to me, whether any of that was. I do know, having looked at the site before any of the clearing occurred, there was a fair number of dead trees out there, deadwood. Whether or not all of it was, I would say no. There was a handful of understory that was still thriving.
But he doesn't own the conservation easement.
It's part of their property. They don't own, there's
Oh.
about a 1 to 2 foot strip along the water's edge that includes the wetlands and the water, and that's what the land trust owns. The
And was that
conservation
cleared
easement.
too?
Pardon?
Was that cleared as well?
No, that's, he's arguing I didn't touch that 1 foot, I stayed out of the wetlands, because I'm not allowed to clear in there, per the easement. He's only allowed to clear this easement area. And they don't own, again, the 1 foot, 2 foot strip.
Mm-hmm.
So that was his rationale as to why he didn't clear that, because he didn't own it.
and this allows them to clear it moving forward as well?
Well, they'd have to adhere to the easement that I just was reading from, and follow that. And again, I would think that after, what I do know is I've had a number of prospective buyers come in and ask, because he has directed them to me to say, hey, if they want to do any additional work beyond what was done, they have to get additional permitting.
Have you put that in writing?
Can I, or he,
No,
did he?
yeah.
No, he verbally told me that. I could ask him to put that in writing. Is that he recognizes the fact that he can't do anything more beyond what he's done, without additional plans. So what I've told the prospective buyers is that a landscape plan is probably what would be warranted if you were to do work in there.
So they have to come in with that landscaping plan to us.
That's where I'm just gonna direct it all here. I'm not gonna even bother touching this stuff anymore. It's not worth it.
Yeah.
So at least I let the commission make the decision, particularly with these 3 lots, and
Is that
Go
it?
for it.
3
Pardon?
lots? Is
that's
there-
all that's out there, yes.
There's nothing else coming through? I
No,
mean, as far as on Heritage Road?
No, that'll be the only additional 3 lots on Heritage Road. I think it's even possible. Now, there's a bunch of land that was conveyed to the Lloyds, who own
The farm?
no, they owned a small, like quarter acre parcel out on the lake. They have a cabin out there, and they have the easement that runs across these 3 lots to get to it, that came off of Hathaway Road. That's been dissolved since the driveway's now been put in. Their easement now comes down that driveway. And to the south of the driveway, they were conveyed roughly 10 acres. So then they have about 10 or 12 total acres that they could develop if they wanted to at some point in the future. They'd have to come in off of Heritage Road, they'd have to come in off of this existing driveway, because they have no other access. The subdivision regulations limit the number of lots you can have on a shared drive. We did indicate to Mr. Lemieux that the way the subdivision was approved, it's no longer, they're gonna have to change the name from, they're known as 60, 58, and 56 Heritage. They gotta change the name because it's technically a private road. So there would be, in my opinion, a potential that someone could come off of that private road with another private road on that 11 acres if the Lloyds were so inclined. They'd have to demonstrate there's no traffic hazard. And obviously, they'd have to delineate what, I don't know, I'd have to go back to the Hathaway Farm survey and see if there were wetlands on that portion that was conveyed to them. I don't believe there were, but I'd have to go back and look at that survey to see if there were wetlands out there. So that's the potential, is that 12-acre piece that the Lloyds own. I don't believe they have any intention of ever developing the property.
So do we have to reword the permit? Is that what the hang-up was? I'm not quite sure.
So the hang-up, I think, I guess to clarify, is that he cleared within this conservation easement. I was going to issue an order for clearing that I did not approve. However, he's saying you did approve it by issuing this permit because on my plan, I proposed it.
Which number is that?
Number 2.
All
was
3
the
lots.
notes.
Under standard, oh,
No, it was on the application.
application?
Yeah.
Oh, number 2. All right, all right.
So if you look on the plans in that fine print under design and construction notes, number 2 is what he said. He immediately, Gary goes, it's right there on the plan. I said buried. It's,
Like right there.
you know, I said
I can
all 3 plans that were designed have no notes, literally, like on the site plan portion, like on the
Right,
part,
right.
right? Showing that there's no grading being proposed, it just says conservation.
Right.
And, you know, again, you know, he argued that, well, I didn't identify, nor did I call out the silt fence as being the limit of disturbance. So I understand that, but typically that's what's considered the limit of disturbance. And I said, look at the tree line. It follows the silt fence, just about. So why would I think there was any additional clearing?
Right.
Yeah.
So that's where that stands, and as a result, you know, again, I could have issued the order, had them come to a show cause hearing. I think that might have led to an additional suit. At least that's what Mr. Fury had threatened, being that I'm not an attorney. I spoke with my supervisor and decided not to issue that order. So that's where we stand with that. I'm happy to, again, if you feel that he is in violation because he used a machine versus maybe hand cutting, I think that might be minor in nature in terms of we're not grabbing at straws to try to correct my deficiency. I think but you can see from the pictures I took Monday, there's some ENS issues out there. I did send him correspondence indicating he needed to correct that. I gave him 2 details of how to install a silt fence, as well as how to install hay wattle along that slope. Some of those areas, it's pretty rocky on the slope, and you're not necessarily going to get to trench in a silt fence. And as I looked at it, I'm looking at stones holding the bottom of the fabric down, so water will just find its way underneath, and that's not good. And you can see the water had found its way underneath. While I walked that, I didn't see any of that turbid water actually making its way into Lake Patagonia. But again, I haven't been out there this morning, and it did continue to rain the rest of the day. So it's hard for me to, if in fact that's the case, you know, we could pursue that as a violation. How he corrects that violation, he would probably go in there with hand tools, have to rake that out. If he had deposits greater than 3 inches or something like that, we'd have him scoop that out and broadcast that back onto the site. I don't know if it's even worth him going in there. You can see there's vegetation revegetating in the areas that he cleared. Obviously, it's green. I'm not certain that having him go in there and do that immediately, but if you look at picture 7 there, you can see there's a lot of fine sediments that made it underneath that fence. And thankfully, the existing vegetation of what's left, I think, is preventing it from entering into the pond, the lake.
Yeah, so moving forward, are they, I mean, this is gonna be a mess of, are they gonna like try to are they planning on landscaping it or?
Yeah, so they went ahead and started grading. You can see there's some track marks on the back of the house. They've been grading the entire space out around this existing house, and I think as a result, it pushed some of that silt fence over. I also think they relocated the silt fence a little bit as a result of some of that grading to try to make it look like it's going to work, but they didn't tuck it in. So, I think the best thing we can do here is, you know, again, I go back out there tomorrow and verify that he's fixed the silt fence, and then I certainly think hay wattle along the slope is going to be warranted, because there's areas where you just there's rock at the surface, and he's got the fence going over it, right? So anywhere there's a gap, material can move on. But it's going to be a mess for a little while. At least the open area is.
Are these houses on septic?
They're all on septic and well. Lot 2, which is the second lot in, so picture 1 there is taken from lot 2, possibly closer to lot 3. That had a very high perk rate, and they needed double the radius on their well because it was so high. So it's a lot of sand and gravel underneath that rock. It's on the surface there, so.
With that permit, though, they will not be able to do like landscaping within that easement area.
So if they wanted to do that, they'd have to get a permit
Right.
from this agency. The conservation easement really doesn't speak to landscaping it. I think its intent is to be left in its natural state.
Yeah.
But that's only 1 foot from the water? The conservation easement?
No, the easement runs, it's
The 1 foot is what the
what the land trust owns.
Okay.
And then the easement, I don't believe the easement actually covers that strip of land. The land trust owns it. The easement covers the upland area.
How wide is the easement, do you know?
It varies from lot to lot. So on lot 1, on the south side, I'd say it's about, maybe 70, 75, 80 feet wide. And then on the north, I'm sorry, I'm calling that the south side. It should be, that would be according to the north arrow. I can't be, again, I'd question the north arrow on that site plan, but okay. Little things that you pick up after the fact. So that north arrow, I think, is misaligned. And this is the lot number 3, which would be, I believe, 60 heritage. The well radius, you can see, is 75 feet, and it ends just over the what I believe is the easterly property line.
Mm-hmm.
So that, you can tell the conservation easement is approximately, I would say, 60 feet wide there.
Yeah, it's pretty healthy.
on lot 2, or I'm sorry, lot 1, the center lot. The easement might be about 60 feet wide there. You can see it's 117 to the house, and it's about halfway, so maybe it's 50, 60 feet. And then on the last lot, the furthest lot north, it's about the same width, about 50 feet wide. It's 70 feet to the house, and there's probably about 10 feet behind it.
Does the town ever do drone shots of something? Because I'd love to have, these houses are big houses, they're gonna want a view of the lake. And I would hate to see these trees be cut down. Is there any way we can take full pictures of everything, so there's no question if somebody comes back and says, oh,
I can, from the site, I can take pictures. I don't have a drone. I can see if DPW has one, to fly one up and just take a picture, you know, from the top down. Otherwise, I defer back to the aerials, which the state of Connecticut does periodic flyovers, and that's the way we kind of track that. But yeah, we can maybe invest in a drone. I don't know.
So they said there's gonna be no more clearing within the conservation easement.
Correct.
And so now they're just gonna let it all start to grow back and not do anything moving forward?
Well, Mr. Lemieux will not. He's going to leave it to whoever buys, the prospective homeowners, to deal with it.
And if it's so up to them to sort of self-regulate what they deem as unhealthy?
He's going to have to create a homeowners association, and I would think it would be up to the association to determine this is unhealthy. Talk to the land trust, and
Because the land trust ultimately is managing the
they're the ones
conservation
policing the
easement.
easement.
Can the public access this easement?
No, there's no public access.
So I just wanted to say, regarding the drone you were asking about, East Lyme does not have a drone. However, Waterford got a grant and got a drone, and it actually stated in the newspaper that the neighboring towns would be able to use it if people were trained properly how to use it. So that's just a heads up.
So maybe there's an opportunity there to get a picture or two. I think certainly my only concern about drones, for the current enforcement, we have permission to go out there. We have an application and a permit, so we have the right to be on this guy's property. In the case of like enforcing on a random complaint, I don't know. I'm allowed to go down the public right away, and what I can see from the road is what I can enforce on. I'm not allowed to peek over your fence per se. I can't climb the fence, and look. So if I go up, right now, if I go high enough within the right of way, the public right of way, and the airspace there, and whatever I can see, is that considered fair game?
Yeah.
I don't know. So that's would be my next question.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just
You know?
saying this is something that we brought up to the board of selectmen about the drone.
Yeah, I could reach out to my colleagues over there and see if they can come over here with it, and we could just say, hey, go practice, get a picture.
And you said you are meeting with Art Carlson.
Yes, I've got to coordinate a meeting with Art and Mr. Lemieux. He's asked for that. Art has, and Rich has agreed, so I just need to coordinate a time.
Is there any oversight on the homeowners association?
Not yet, because it hasn't been established. Rich, the Nova Construction owns all 3 lots still. They haven't sold any, so my guess is he's going to want to set one up once he sells at least by the second house, right? He's going to have 50% ownership until he sells the second home, and that's when he's definitely going to need one. But
Can we write a one-page memo to prospective buyers that is transferred at closing for these lots?
yeah, I can provide a memo or a statement that he can provide to his prospective buyers that is provided to them. I know with the Harvest Glen subdivision way back when, this was one that our former chair, Cheryl, she had a brochure that was done up, and that was handed and I guess given to all the homeowners as they bought their houses, you
Mhm.
know. And there's been more turnover, and I don't know if that brochure has made it to the you know, continue to be passed down, but, yeah, that could be helpful. I mean,
Yeah,
here
I
we're only
think-
talking 3 lots, so I think it.
Yeah, and I think that, you know, it looks like it's incumbent upon the new owners to adhere to any kind of regulations or agreements that
Right,
exist.
I agree. So I can do that up and ask Rich to supply that to them.
Yeah, because the plan that was approved only states, as part of the plan, is that the brush clearing can happen in accordance with section 7E. It doesn't speak to ongoing brush clearing activity, so that would be a permitted.
Where I'll point you to your regulations, and this is to be aware, just to be so you're aware. In section 4, right, these permitted uses of the right and non-regulated uses. Uses incidental to the enjoyment and maintenance of residential property. Such property defined as equal or smaller than the largest minimum going on. That's just about the size of the lot. Such incidental uses shall include maintenance of existing structures and landscaping. Existing landscaping, right? So that's what that is. But shall not include removal or deposition of 5 or more cubic yards of material from or onto a wetland or water course, or diversion or alteration of a water course. So they can maintain their landscaping. And so I would say the existing landscape could be maintained. Whether they do or not, whether they let it veg. Now, as it grows up and it becomes, they can maintain that, but they can't. I would say, I would argue you couldn't clear it. Although your easement allows you to, you'd have to come in and get a permit. I'm still hung up on that because the permit has been issued for the houses. Once those houses are closed and these files are closed out, I would say anything subsequent needs a new permitting.
Right.
If it was even an irrigation system, that's a new activity, needs a permit. Wasn't proposed with the house. A pool, a shed, all of that needs additional permitting. And frankly, with these 3 lots and their proximity to the lake, I think even a shed, maybe I'll just bring before the commission if anybody comes forward with it.
How about a dock?
The dock the dock will definitely have to come before the commission. But again, I think my conversations with Deep have alluded to the fact that that may not actually, be permissible by DEEP standards. It didn't sound like they were looking to allow any additional docks on their lake. So they didn't want a proliferation, as it was called. I don't know that the one more dock would
Break it.
be a proliferation, but again, they have to jump through those hurdles. So I would think they'd want to pursue permission first, and again, they would have to get that permission from DEEP before they came here to apply for that permit. So until that happens.
Okay.
So again, my apologies for missing the note. It happens, and I'm terribly sorry. It's not intentional. And I think it just puts us in a tougher position to regulate this. So I think the residents, they're the ones who pay the ultimate price. So. Not my finest moment, but
We all make mistakes. So then you have 9 Rocco Drive, which has been
forever.
ongoing.
I think by the time I actually get something done there, the trees will
Yeah.
have grown back up. But still, I'm still determined to try to get something out of this homeowner in terms of response, something a little more favorable than what I've gotten. I can also talk to the abutting landowner or the existing landowner, who I believe is Mr. Pizzalia Construction, and see, what their thoughts are, because the vegetation was located on their parcel, even though they didn't clear it. How again, at what cost, I'm looking at the cost of doing this, the cost of continuing to pursue that, and if there's no active erosion, if the clearing of those trees, I don't think it removed any shade from the pond, because it was set further back, but it was another part of the vegetative buffer. That was my concern. So, if we can just keep the buffer enhanced around the existing pond, that would be great. So that's what I'm trying to do there. So if I can,
Okay.
we'll get out. I gotta get out there and take pictures.
And then there was the firearms complaint.
Yeah, I'm not certain. I still have to investigate that. I believe zoning has gotten the same complaint and have pursued it. They wrote a letter, I think it was late last year, to 33 Upper Walnut Hill. So I'm going to talk with Mr. Mulholland to see what the status is in terms of zoning. Again, I haven't heard anything more. This was an anonymous complaint. I got a phone call. So,
I mean, there's a certain range for shooting from a residence. Is it,
but they have to maintain 500 feet from any other residence, or structure, roadway. I think the question here is really, I think the neighbor was concerned that, similar to the Sportsman's Club, who had to pay millions of dollars for lead remediation, same thing. Is they're shooting into a wetland area, is it depositing lead and creating that issue? So, understandable. And I know several years back we dealt with the same properties regarding, I guess, some all-terrain vehicular use and restoration there. And I don't know if any. I think Phyllis, you might have been the only one and Don might have been here, but the CLMP, or was now Eversource, they came in with this property for an easement agreement, and they were able to get an easement from 33 Upper Walnut Hill in exchange for the repair work that needed to happen, which you're talking, it was almost like $50,000 worth of repair work, included 3 pipes to help convey the water underneath this access. You do, okay. Yeah. So that, and they had a whole restoration of this ponded area that used to, I guess, jump vehicles into. They had to get a tow truck to tow the Jeep Cherokee out of the pond, or this ponded area. So that's all been restored and taken care of, but this is the same landowners I think we're still dealing with, so I'm not sure. I know previously back then, there were complaints of shooting. Bill and I did not necessarily investigate that actively, that we felt that was more of a police matter.
Right.
yeah. How about North Brydebrook, the retention pond that's like maybe less than 20 feet from the back of the apartments in front? We talked about, should it be gated?
Yeah, I did ask Frank. He said he didn't have any regulation for that. Bill said they planted the arborvitae along it. He said there was no requirement for a fencing or a gate, so I guess it'll stand as it is without any fencing. So we have a similar basin on Farm Meadow Road. It's the only time I actually see water in it is after a rain event, and it's not there very long, and it drains out that basin. And again, it doesn't have a fence around it, so I guess a small kid could potentially fall in, but like any pond.
The question is, it's so close. That would be the concern. I mean, the Orchards has them up there from Sunset Road.
Yep.
I mean, but they're a long distance from any of the homes.
Right.
It's so close.
Very close. Like Rocky Neck Village, their basin is literally like away from the units, right? So nobody, that basin's such a large basin, it's almost flat like a field, and you could play soccer on it, type of a thing. It doesn't hold a lot of water. But again, that's an example where it's removed from the residential dwellings. Here, it's like right on top of them. I agree. It's close. They have to look at it. It's kind of nice to look at, I guess. There's some nice wetland plantings in there, wet basin bottom. The rest of the site, my understanding as of today, the units have all been CO'd or they're completed. I don't know if, I think there might be a couple of COs left to do on the last building. So it looks like all that's left is the remainder of the site work for zoning to take those stockpiles, grade them out, haul them out of there or do whatever. I'm not sure what the plan is for all
Does
of
he
that.
own the little cape or the little ranch that's, oh, he owns it?
He owns the house there as well. I believe he's renting it, which I'm surprised he wouldn't make that like the clubhouse or the main, association kind of spot, but I guess it's a rent. It's a rental, so, that's all I have on that.
Anyone else have any questions?
Adjourn.
Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, thanks, everybody.